You should be checking out the Schroth Quick Fit harness options here if you're looking to add a little bit more safety in your daily driven or even your weekend warrior 05 to 17 Mustang, and you don't want to add a bunch of extras such as a harness bar or even a roll cage. Now the Schroth here will be shown in red, as you can see, but will also be available here on the site in a black option or even a blue option for right around that mid $200 price point for the pair. Now your installation will get a 1 out of 3 wrenches according to the site. Take about an hour or so to complete, but hang out and we'll show you how it's done later in the video. So the Quick Fit is a very popular option from Schroth because it's going to integrate into your Mustang's existing safety system, but again, without the need for anything else such as those harness bars or even extra mounting points. Now these can be used with your factory seats, including those factory Recaros, along with aftermarket seats as well. Now because these things are designed to be used in your factory Mustang and with the factory seatbelt locations, it is very important to point out that the Quick Fit here is not designed for use with a harness bar or even a roll cage. So prospective buyers will need to keep that in mind. Now as for your shoulder portion, as you can see right here guys, kind of bundled up a little bit, well, that's going to secure to the rear seatbelt locations and stick within the allowable 45-degree angle for the belt going downwards. Now, as if you had a roll bar or a harness bar, ideally you want to maintain a 20-degree angle max, but in this application, up to 45 degrees is allowable. Now, just like those shoulder harnesses, guys, the lap belt portion here is also going to incorporate the factory seatbelt locations and will utilize what Schroth likes to call their ASM tech or anti-submarining technology. Now, this is basically going to keep your hips and your butt firmly planted in the seat at all times, but also prevent you from sliding under the lap belt portion in the event of a collision. Now, it's a nice thing to point out because it's always a concern when you go with a 4-point like this, as opposed to a 5 or even a 6-point that typically has some kind of harness coming up between your legs. Now, as far as your materials are concerned here, guys, well, the Quick Fit again is going to be available in the red that you're looking at, in addition to black and also blue, and will feature 2-inch wide polyester webbing, which is going to be slightly better than nylon when converting energy in a crash. Now, the Schroth also does feature a special monofilament woven into the lateral actual design here of the harness itself, and that's going to help spread the force or load over the width of the belt itself, again, in the event of a very hard hit or collision. But now let's briefly segue into the installation, and again guys, the site is going to call this an easy 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and about an hour or so to complete from start to finish. And to give you a better idea of what you are in for in the garage or driveway, here is a detailed walkthrough along with a quick tool breakdown.
Tools used for this installation: T50 Torx bit, a 3/8 drive, optionals and impact. All right, so our first step is to remove the lower portion of our back seat. It's really easy, it's just 2 little clips. This guy right here, you just gotta push on it and lift up. Do that on the other side here. And we lift this out of place. Set it to the side. All right, so now that we have our back seat out, I have our passenger side harness right here. You can tell it's a passenger side because you have your buckle here, and then your eyelet is gonna go right here on the back seat passenger side, and that's a T50 Torx bit. So I have my impact here and a T50 Torx bit. I'm going to loosen and remove this. Then I'm going to just slip this right under. But what I want to make sure first is that I have no twists in that harness. So that looks good right about there. That label is going to be facing up. We're just going to thread that back down like that. Hit it with our impact and repeat it on the other side. All right, it's the same process on the driver's side. We're just gonna loosen up and remove this T50 Torx head bolt. Slip under this bracket. Make sure that there's no twists in it. All right, now let's test it out in the front, make sure that we have the right distance. All right, let's fit this harness over our headrest here. And then you can see that we have a little slack here. We'll take that up in just a little bit. You can see on the driver's side, this buckle will just go into your regular driver's side buckle. And this eyelet right here will go to this seatbelt mounting point right down here. Just gotta take off this cover. So underneath this is another Torx T50 head right there. And what's gonna slide into that is the other side of our seatbelt. So we'll remove that and fix this to there. And there is a washer behind this, that one right there, but you can see that there is a lock little washer on there. So we're gonna just slip that through it and bolt that back up. Repeat that on both sides, and then we can get our seat in. So now that we have our driver's seat in, what I'm gonna do now is bring our back seat in. But first we have to move this passenger harness out of the way. So I'm gonna unbuckle it and just put it on top of the parcel shelf back there, just to get it out of the way. And then we will connect that side after our seat is in. So as you can see, I have this running with that seat belt. That's perfectly fine, because what's gonna happen is when the seat's in there, this is gonna be wedged up against that leather, and this is gonna run forward. So let's get that seat in. You're gonna wanna make sure your seat belts are up like that so they can go back in their slots in the seat. Right, make sure that this is on the outside as well. And then the backs of the seats here, they go right underneath. Make sure your seat belts are out of the way on both sides. Now you can fish your buckles through. There's one, there's two, and then just make sure that those clip in. And we can get our harness over to the side here, just like that. All right, now let's get our passenger side harness in place. We're gonna start off by buckling that back seat harness and then go up forward here. Sliding the seat into position. This one is not power. Let's get this over the headrest. Make sure you don't have those twists and the labels are facing forward. Buckle in that passenger side. Now we can attach our harness to our seatbelt bracket right here. All right, so it's the same step on the passenger side here as the driver's to get your front seat belt in. Remove that T50 Torx. And there's gonna be that washer, and just try to thread it back on just to make room for your bracket here. And we're just going to thread that through and put that bolt right back in. All right, now we're gonna sit in our seat and tug on our belts until we feel comfortable, and then lock everything down. So what I'm doing here is just taking the slack out of the back seat. We're not gonna have many people back here, so the passenger seat is going to be in a pretty far back location. All right, that's gonna wrap up my install of the Schroth Racing Quick Fit harness in red. And for all things Mustang, keep it here at AmericanMuscle.com.